Hello, everybody, and welcome to an FA Cup predictions special. We normally have Mikey on here for his Premier League expertise. Well, most of the quarterfinalists in the FA Cup are in the Premier League. So we thought we would do the quarterfinals for you today. We are going to record the Premier League because there's a midweek round, but we'll pop that out next week after these games are done. Before I introduce Mikey, apologies. The voice is slightly coming back, so it's not quite Bonnie Tyler today or Brian Johnson. Mikey, pick your poison. Welcome, and I've really enjoyed doing the FA Cup bits and bobs we've done this season. Are you looking forward to the quarters?
Yeah, I am looking forward to the FA Cup, and it's quite nice that there's no Premier League fixtures clashing with the quarterfinals. It's nice that it's obviously the Championship is back, and that will dominate the 3:00 slots. But it's nice to have the FA Cup sort of spread out across the weekend. And I mean, it's easy to forget, Ben. Ipswich were very nearly there. We made it to a penalty shootout. It never felt like we were going to win that shootout, but yeah, if things went slightly differently, if Forest blazed a couple over the bar, we might have been looking forward to a quarter-final tie here.
If you had on the top of your bingo card, unnecessary Ipswich mention, tick it off straight away. Mikey and I have decided that we are going to count this towards the running scores. So it could be an easy win. And by God, I need an easy win, Mikey. So going into this FA Cup round, you won the last Premier League round 8-6. Let me just give you proper credit for a couple of bob-ons, mate. You got Southampton 1, Wolves 2, and Fulham 2, Spurs 0. I did get Everton 1, West Ham 1 in the most David Moyes result possible. But you took that one 8-6. Yeah, I think we pretty much matched other than the bob-ons, which puts you 14-7 up in the weekly. That's just effing embarrassing from my point of view now. So for every 3 shows we do, you're winning double the amount. You're 2-1 up on me. The aggregate's not terrible, Mikey. It's 149-135. So play along in the comments. Fixtures in the description as ever. It is 1 point for a correct outcome, home away or draw. 3 points for a bob on with the scoreline. If your scoreline's got 5 or more goals, you're going to get yourself a bonus point, which gives you 4. Here we go then. So FA Cup quarter-final split over Saturday and Sunday. And of course, there's going to be a Roy Hodgson mention straight away, as there always is with this fixture. So Saturday lunchtime, Mikey, Fulham, Palace.
Yeah, a lovely London derby to kick it off. There's a lot of good feeling about the FA Cup at the moment, Ben, isn't there? Because although Man City is still in there's this feeling that a team who's never won it
large elephant in the room,
yeah. But there's that optimism, isn't there, that one of these clubs who've never won it before might be able to on this occasion. 2002 was the last time Fulham won an FA Cup quarter-final, Ben. Comparatively, Palace have reached the semi-final in both 2022, and they were unlucky in the final back in 2016. So pretty good recent pedigree.
You're going to talk about the Pardew dance?
I mean, the Pardew dance was wonderful, wasn't it? And if Palace end up winning that game, that goes down in folklore, doesn't it? Rather than a figure of fun. The home team, interestingly, hasn't won in the last 8 of these fixtures, Ben. That dates back quite a long time because these two generally face off most seasons. This season, Fulham won 2-0 at Selhurst Park with, I think, Harry Wilson scored 2. And fairly recently, Palace won 2-0 at Craven Cottage, where Daniel Munoz sent Calvin Bassey for a hot dog. Well, it wouldn't be a hot dog at Craven Cottage, would it? It'd probably be hog roast or
Calvin Bassey as well. He could eat 2 hog roasts, couldn't he? Bless him.
Yeah, he could have 2 hog roasts unit and still have space for a slice of Victoria sponge in the main stand at Fulham. So that was a really good win for Palace. And when they were drawn away at Fulham, they probably think, we've got recent good muscle memory there. I think this is so well matched, Ben. I think it's going to go all the way. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. I can't remember what we do with the FA Cup. I think we just stick with the 90.
Yeah, you can give me a winner for.
But I'm going to go for Palace to win on penalties. And I haven't mentioned, Ben, Jean-Philippe Mateta, who was injured in the last round.
You bloody love Jean-Philippe Mateta.
He's going to be back for this one wearing a mask. And I find players, they either really sort of go within themselves when they're wearing a mask or they really step it up a notch. We will see.
get in the comments on your masked players. It's always Paul Gascoigne after he got elbowed by Jan Wouters for me. Mate, you've completely spooked me because I had a Fulham win on this one. And with that home and away stuff, and I've just had a look in the Premier League, Palace's away record is really good.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So I think I'm going to flip-flop-fly on the hoof here. I'm not going to take the draw. I'm going to take Palace to win it in 90, 2-1, and I have completely changed my mind on the basis of what you've said, Mikey. Let's move this on to Brighton versus Nottingham Forest. Don't know who Forest might have conquered in the previous round, but we did have that crazy 7-0, didn't we? What was the other game? 2-2.
2-2, a really fiery game, that one.
Right. So Forest really have got it over Brighton this season. And, I've got a bit of a crush on Forest this season, don't you? Let's be fair, Mikey. I've got a 7 in 8 chance of being happy with the FA Cup winner this season. Although that statistic doesn't really work when you think about how good the 1 in 8 is. But so I'm going to back Forest. That's heart over head, even though Brighton are home. And let's go for a real lovely, efficient, typical Forest clean sheet and a 2-0 win. Maybe Chris Wood gets a goal.
Okay, so you mentioned Chris Wood, Ben. It may have escaped your attention because he was playing for New Zealand against New Caledonia. But New Zealand have qualified for the World Cup. Congratulations to them. But Chris Wood did come off with a hip injury. And while that it wasn't a really serious injury where Wood was still on the pitch celebrating at the end of the game, I just think with that really long journey back, although this was a few days ago, it's still a really long journey back with an injury isn't great preparation. And I wonder, with Forest going so well in the league and with a Tuesday night game against Manchester United, I could just see Chris Wood maybe dropping out. And Awoniyi is a serviceable backup, but he's not Chris Wood. Let's face it. So I could see Brighton winning this one because they're just in fantastic form, aren't they? This is the best Brighton have been all season. So I'm going to go for them to narrowly win this one 2-1.
Preston Villa. Are we in Jim Carrey Dumb and Dumber GIF levels of is there a chance? Come on, Preston, do it for the EFL. Love you, Villa, but away you go, Mikey.
There is a chance, and maybe the recent good weather is a good thing for Aston Villa because I went to Preston just over a year ago and saw a really good Ipswich team really struggle to play out from the back at Preston. So really, maybe it isn't so bad this season, but it was a really difficult pitch to play out from. And in hindsight, we shouldn't have done it. But Preston, fairly average season for them. I'll let you speak in a bit more detail. I haven't paid a huge amount of attention, but the highlight of their season surely is that 3-0 derby win over Burnley in the last round. And this is a huge occasion at Deepdale, and you never know, like their players might really step it up and just play at such an intensity that Villa can't handle it. And Villa, they've got that PSG game coming up, and they're also pushing for the top 5, but they'd also love to win this cup. And this is their best chance of silverware. Maybe not as much glory as a long Champions League run, but I'm looking at the injury suspensions. There isn't any suspensions. I think Ross Barkley had a knock recently, but he should be back. And Ollie Watkins didn't drop out of the England squad, but I think he'll be back as well. So not a single injury either, Ben. So you've got to fancy Villa here, unfortunately. So I'm going Preston 1, Villa 2, but a really good cup tie.
Mate, I've got to go with the EFL, haven't I? Even if I totally agree with everything you just said. So the only way Preston win this, and you're totally right, is a fast start and a clean sheet, isn't it? Which means I think the only way they can win it is 1-0. I think there's a sense that Heckingbottom's done a good job because he literally came in. Ryan Lowe was out after one game. Mikey, there was a kind of fallout. So you basically bring in a manager in straight after pre-season. It's not an advantageous time to come in, during a transfer window. Not that Preston ever do much in the market, do they? But I think there's always a sense with Preston that, this will be the season where it just falls off and they don't finish in the middle of the table. But they always seem to kind of get it right and do that. So I'm just going to go pure vibes, and it'd be great to have an EFL team in the semi-final. So I'll back Preston to win 1-0. Right, here's the big one. Bournemouth versus Man City, because people will think we're just so anti-Man City. We're not. It would just be great given, I mean, we'll talk about the lack of narrative in the Premier League for the final 8 games. Wouldn't it be great to get an interesting winner, either somebody who has never won the FA Cup or someone who has not won the FA Cup for decades? Obviously, Man City have, I don't know, you'll probably know the number. Feels like they've won it, 4 or 5 times in the last decade, I think, possibly. Maybe it's 3. It can't be that many. It seems to be them or Chelsea every other year, and then they give it to Liverpool once every 5 years or something. So for that reason, again, complete vibes. Maybe this is why I'm scoring so badly in this show. I have to back Bournemouth. I absolutely have to, with every sense of my collective responsibility for English football. I love Pep Guardiola. I love Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne and Jack Grealish and everybody. But of course, I'm going to back Bournemouth. So I may as well go all in. Bonus point. Bournemouth 3, Man City 2.
Wow. I'm going for Man City to win this one 3-1, Ben. But to back up your prediction, Bournemouth have already beaten Man City at home this season.
Yes, they have.
They've played them once and they beat them 2-1, and they fully deserved it. And yeah, the vitality, they can beat anyone, can't they, on their day? And this isn't a settled Man City team. We're talking about what a great team they are, but they're just not having a good season. But it is their only hope of silverware. So I think there'll be intense focus on this game for them. Maybe less of a home advantage for Bournemouth. I think they have to give up a bit more in the way of away tickets in this one. Maybe almost as much as every other club has to give up in the Premier League. But to Bournemouth's credit, Ben, they have recently released plans for the new stadium. So I'll have to get on a different soapbox. But yeah, I'd like to see Bournemouth win this one, though. That being said, and what I've said previously, but I think the sensible prediction here is a Man City win, which is why I've gone for 3-1.
When you said intense focus, I thought, right, Pep Guardiola, intense focus. Yeah, that probably works, doesn't it? Nobody does intense focus better than Pep. Get involved in the comments. That is your FA Cup quarter final predictions. Mikey, I want somebody to go 4 for 4 on this. Come on, there's only 4 fixtures. Surely someone can do it. Maybe we can get at least 2 bob-ons from somebody out of the 4. I'll be terribly impressed. You know the score lines. We'll probably put the Premier League stuff, easy for me to say, out on Monday, I reckon. So we're going to record that right now. So if you want to hear from Mikey again, he'll be here on the Benjamin Bloom Football channel on Monday, and also on the Blue Monday channel. And we can record that right now, and we'll see you then.